My family and I have always been interested in history, all sorts of history. And when I heard about the Nag Hammadi scrolls, the Dead Sea Scrolls that were discovered at Nag Hammadi in Egypt, I was fascinated. They are some of the oldest writings that have to do with Christianity. And one of these is the Gospel of St. Thomas, which is credited by scholars as being one of the earliest scriptures from the early Christian times. A friend of mine in Birmingham, Alabama, gave me a copy, a book called The Gospel of St. Thomas. And it was very interesting because on facing pages, on one page it had English language written, and on the other page it had Aramaic. Well, I hate to tell you, but I don't speak or read Aramaic. I've known a few people who do, biblical scholars, who could sit there and toss phrases translated from the Aramaic at each other as compared to the Greek or the Roman or the Latin or what have you, but I'm not one of those scholars. So the Aramaic didn't do me a lot of good, but I read the English translations and I found them fascinating. Unlike the Gospels in the Christian Bible, the New Testament, it's not really a story of Jesus and how he lived, or Isa as he was known then, when he walked the earth. It's a collection of his sayings. And for instance, the questions people asked him, this collection is of the answers he gave to those. Since they were translated from the Aramaic, sometimes the meanings are rather obscure, and it's hard to understand. Gee, what did he mean by that? So my friend Lisa Haynes and I got together and we decided, well, let's ask him what he meant by that. She would ask the question, she would interview Jesus, and speaking through me, for I have channeled him for quite some time, he would answer what he meant by that. We have put this into a book so that we can share it with others. We've called the book Trees in God's Garden because that phrase was taken from one of the verses that he explains in the book, in which he speaks of how there are many trees in God's garden and many paths of understanding that lead one to God. And you don't have to decide whether apples are true and oranges are false, or whether figs are full of baloney and grapes are where the truth is. You can say, oh, these are expressions of understanding of God's light. And I have found this to be very helpful. We put this book together some time ago, and on the back you'll see some images, historic images of St. Thomas the Apostle. For it is the Gospel of St. Thomas, and it is through his ministry, notably in the Middle East and then in India, that these scrolls were written down from his memories of the Christ, whom he, of course, knew intimately. So, when I read this again, after my friend Lisa had gotten it into manuscript form, once again I was amazed by how wonderful the understanding is that comes through to me from these verses. It gives me great pleasure for the LightSource Group, our publishing arm, to bring these forward in book form that others may access not only the verses, but Jesus' explanation of what he meant by that. I especially love the one where we asked him the question, Lisa asked him the question, and he sat thoughtfully through me before saying, I don't remember saying that. It's a very update, hip with it understanding of Jesus, and I love it. Yet every one of his interview answers has the meaning in it that we were seeking, that being a greater understanding of ourselves, those around us, and our relationship to Godhood. These books are available from Amazon.com, or you may learn more about them at the LightSourceGroup.com, or order from your local bookstore. I hope you will get as much out of it as I've gotten out of helping to see it written and published.